So I'm welcoming you all to the show. I'm so happy to have you here. For those of you who are just joining us, I am a certified nurse midwife, a board certified lactation consultant. I have been working with moms and babies for the past 22 years, and I'm also a mom myself of two beautiful little girls. They're 10 and almost 8 years old already. I can't believe it. It's already going that fast. So, tonight I really wanted to come to you and talk to you about what it means to figure out what you need to know to have the most satisfying birth. Beyond that, it is also World Doula Week. And for those of you who don't know what a doula is, in the context of having the most satisfying birth, I can tell you personally from my professional opinion and also my personal opinion that having a doula was one of the best decisions that Joe, my partner, and I made when we decided to choose who was going to be with us for the birth of our children. And so we had a doula, Mary, who was with us, and she spent the entire labor with us, just supporting us through it. So for those of you who don't know what a doula is, let me explain to you what that is. First of all, it's somebody that you would, it's a mom or a person or a professional, somebody that you would hire to support you through labor. They are hired labor assistants. These are women who do the most beautiful, sacred work there is in the world, who just are there for new moms, for expecting moms during labor, to guide them through the process, to support them in whatever their needs are. And this is not their medical care. So this would be really different than like a midwife or an obstetrician. This is somebody who's just there for them, for their comfort, to take care of dad as well, to help them when they're hungry, help make food, to rub their feet, to tell them to maybe help them to what to expect as well. Lots of times as new parents, you go into the hospital and you just don't have a clue of like what are they saying, what are they talking about, and this is where somebody like a doula can really make a huge difference to interpret some of the information that may be coming your way. And so it's really it's such a great experience, and this week especially with us all honoring doulas, I just wanted to make sure that we did a show that really honored all the beautiful doulas out there, okay? So as a midwife and as a mom, I love all the doulas. We have an exciting guest for you later on in the show, and I'm going to, after I speak to you for a few minutes, I'm going to introduce my very special guest. Her name is Tony Harman, and she's a filmmaker from the UK, and she actually is a filmmaker and also a mom, and she created a new documentary that is out right now called Doula, and you can all get a chance to see the video and watch the movie. And tonight we're actually going to do a trailer for you when we're interviewing Tony in a little while. So definitely stay tuned, because it's going to be a fantastic conversation that we're going to have with Tony. I just love her. So let's talk for a moment about what can you do to support yourself during labor? What are the things when you're pregnant that you can put in place now to make sure that you have at least the closest to the best birth experience, to the one that you choose, that what you're looking for comes to fruition. And I think there are definitely some tips that I can give you. Like I said, I didn't tell you, I was a registered nurse and I was a labor and delivery nurse. So that means I worked with laboring moms for almost 7 years in labor and delivery, and I spent thousands and thousands of hours with thousands and thousands of patients in labor. And then after that, I opened my own private practice as a nurse midwife and delivered over 600 babies. So I've been with so many moms in labor, including my own two labors. And these are some of the most valuable things that I've seen that have worked to, like I said, get the birth experience that you are looking for. So first and foremost, and I say this in my live class all the time, when it comes to having that birth experience, probably the number one thing is to choose the right people to be around you. Now, a minute ago we were talking about doulas, so having your doula, if you're going to have a doula, make sure that you interview and that you choose somebody that really shares the same energy as you, somebody who you're really going to want to have around you. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later in our interview, but it also goes for your provider. So, make sure that you have a provider like your doctor or your midwife is somebody that you really trust and that you feel really comfortable with. I know this can bring up a lot of anxiety for a lot of people when I start to talk about, is the provider the right one for you? For several reasons. A lot of people, if you're seeing a physician, you may be seeing that obstetrician because that was the person that did your pap smears when you were 16 years old and you've never switched. And so you've stayed with the same person all along. And now you're, pregnant, you're, in your third trimester, your second trimester, and you're saying, they were good for my pap smear once a year, but I'm not sure this is the right person for me to see me through my labor. And if that question is coming up, I encourage you to keep seeking answers to that. There's a reason that your mind is telling you to think about it. The reason that your mind is questioning it is it may not be the right answer for you. And so I encourage you to look into midwifery care as well. It is definitely an amazing option for so many people. And a lot of people think that, midwives deliver only at home. That's not true. We do home births, we do hospital births, there are birthing centers. So look into that as an option if you feel like, I really want to have a natural labor, or I really want a woman, or I really want that personalized care. That's something that you're going to find in a midwife. And I know my clients were extremely happy with the kind of care that they got in my practice. And it wasn't always about natural birth. It was about really just having somebody who understood. Also, not the huge groups that you're seeing these days where you don't really know who the doctor on call is going to be, and that could be a little bit scary as well. When it comes to having people around you as well, obviously your partner's going to be there, and or whoever you choose to have as your labor coach. But remember that this is not a party, and so if you have family members who are trying to come into the room, who want to be there, but they're really not there to support you, or you feel like you're not going to be supported, or they normally aggravate you just sitting and having dinner together, don't expect that they're going to be any more supportive when you're in labor. This is not a party, and so it's very important to make sure that you choose your labor team or the people who are going to be in your labor room very wisely. And don't just invite people in just because your sister decided she would have you for her labor, so now you feel obligated in some way to have her in your labor room. Very, very important that you are able to completely relax and be calm, and if people around you are making you tense, it is not going to help you in any way. So if you're out there and you're hearing this, you know who you are, the ones who are thinking, ooh, that's me, okay, you really need to think about that. Other things that I would definitely recommend is that you prepare, okay? So some kind of a childbirth class, or some kind of a book, or doing some reading, doing some preparation. It doesn't necessarily have to be about learning about every stage of labor, or any particular class at the hospital. It can be just as simple as reading books on relaxation, hypnobirthing. There's fantastic books out there that you can get some information about. You can go, there are different websites you can get information about, but learn, because what you don't want to do is go into this completely unprepared, and that means trying to learn how to relax. And that's really the key to all of this, is how do I totally relax and surrender into the process of birth without knowing what you're in for. So it's a matter of really educating yourself. And we talk about this all the time when it comes to breastfeeding, when it comes to baby care. Being prepared and having some knowledge is a good thing. Now, there is a fine line, okay, where you can go into too much knowledge too, where you're scaring the hell out of yourself, okay, before it ever even starts. That's not a good thing. So like I said, again, it's that basic understanding of what the process will entail, that basic understanding, so that when things start to pop up in labor that are completely normal but wouldn't seem normal in your normal life, you know that things are okay. Okay, so that's really, really important to prepare yourself. Okay, third thing for sure, stay home as long as possible, okay? Do not run to the hospital, because running to the hospital just means more intervention, more things happening to you. The longer that you're there, the more they can do. And, think about where you're the most comfortable in your life. Like, where in the world do you feel the most comfortable? In your house, in your own bed, on your own toilet seat, eating your own food, okay, all those things. And so what are you going to do when you're in labor? The best place for you is going to be staying at home. So being home for as long as possible, especially with your first baby, okay? Labors can take quite a long time. Staying home as long as possible, and then coming in when you're in more active labor, when things have really progressed, so you're not getting sent home over and over again. That is the key to having an amazing birth, to really just letting the process unfold and not trying to push it. Lots of times when you show up to the hospital too soon is when you start getting put onto this clock where everybody's kind of like watching, and then everybody's getting impatient, and then they feel like they need to do something to you. So allow your body to do its own thing as long as everything's going normal. And of course you want to check in with your doctor or check in with your midwife and make sure that you've, let them know what's going on and that you would like to stay home. All right, so staying home. The other thing too is, even if you're thinking to yourself, I am not interested in a natural labor, I'm planning to have my epidural, I don't need any of this, preparation stuff, I don't need to practice anything, I don't need to do any deep breathing, I don't need to do any relaxation. My advice to you, as someone who has been with many, many women in labor, is prepare yourself for natural birth, okay? Even if it's not the plan. Okay, even if it's not the plan, prepare yourself in the same way that you would if you're going to go through a natural labor and a natural birth, okay? For several reasons. One is that, I think keeping your mind open, sometimes what we think something is going to be may not be at all that you thought it was. So it may go a lot faster, a lot smoother than you think. And then why take the unnecessary intervention if you don't need it? Okay, what if, something else? What if walking around or sitting in the shower, all those things are going to help you more and are going to help you with the pain and labor, and you really don't need all that medication or epidural. So I think that being able to be open to natural labor, even if it's not the plan, is important for that reason. As well as it's not always a guarantee. So even though you think you might be, all right, I'm going to definitely have my epidural, I have seen plenty of people who planned on it and then it didn't work out that way. Whether the labor went quickly or their lab work came back in a way that didn't make it possible for that to happen, or for whatever reason there was, they weren't able to have it. And it can be quite devastating when you realize like your plan's not going in that direction. So speaking of plans, what about birth plans? Like thinking about, should I write out everything that I want to do? So I'm kind of mixed on the birth plan situation here. On one hand, I do think it's important for you to write yourself a list of all the things that you'd like to have in labor, that you'd like to do in labor, like the music that you'd like to listen to, setting up your labor room in a way that would make you feel most comfortable, bringing your own pillows to the hospital, dimming the lights, limiting the amount of people in the room, all the things that you feel like are going to make you feel the most comfortable, the most relaxed. The issue that you can have with a birth plan is that when you start handing it out to everybody, it can actually create a situation where you need to manage your own labor, okay? Because now you've got a plan that everybody needs to follow, and if you don't have a doula or somebody who's going to be watching out for you, that leaves you in a really difficult position of the one who has to monitor everything, okay? During labor, that is not what you want to be doing. You're not sitting there trying to monitor everything. You are trying to relax, you're trying to let go, you're trying to surrender into the process, and monitoring the process, or, keeping an eye out for everybody doing what you want them to do, can actually affect your labor in a very negative way. It can create a lot of anxiety, it can create a lot of tension, and that tension can actually slow down your labor or stop your labor altogether. So it's very important that, there's that fine line of planning it all out, understanding or giving it to your partner and saying, here's some of the things that I'd like for you to suggest to me while we're in labor, and then the birth plan where you have to make sure it goes your way, okay? Labor is a process of surrender. Labor is not a process of taking control. Labor is about letting go to your own body, letting go to your body's needs, letting go to the process and allowing it to unfold and open and allowing your baby to come. All those things require surrender, and it is not about planning it out or taking control in the moment. So I hope that really helps you. What also, staying home. We were talking about staying home before. The other thing was, when you're in the hospital, they're not going to allow you to eat or drink anything, and it could get very tiring. It can also get you can get very thirsty. Okay, you're working really hard. While you're home, you'll be able to drink. I would recommend that you eat lightly, but you eat good, nutritious, foods that are going to give you a lot of energy, okay? Because this is a marathon that you're going to be on. It's a marathon, and you want to make sure that you're keeping your body hydrated. And lastly, the thing that helped me the most when I was in labor is getting support. There are so many places, and whether that's from friends who've had babies or even online, like the community that we've created right here, okay, of talking to really supportive moms. And I don't mean the ones who are going to give you all the scary stories. I mean the ones who are going to give you support and listen to your emotions, listen to your feelings, listen to your concerns, and really support you through it. There's nothing like talking to another mother or someone who's been through the experience to make you feel at ease and go, yeah, they really get it. And that's really, too, what a doula does, okay? Most doulas are moms, and like I said, there's just nothing like having a woman there who's been through the process. So, get support, whether it's an online group or an in-person group or something, and get connected, okay? I hope that helped you in some way. I love talking about birth. I don't get to talk about it that often, but it is my background, and it is what I did for such a long time. And I think that this week especially, it was extremely important to go over some of these tips with you so that in case you are not able to get a doula, you're still a little bit more prepared, okay? So right now, without any further ado, I would really love to introduce you to my special guest, okay? My special guest, and this is Tony Harman, and like I said, she is a filmmaker, she is a mom, and she is the creator of this awesome new documentary called Doula, okay? So here we go. Welcome, Tony. So Tony, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you here. Tony's all the way live from the UK, and she was so kind enough to stay up late to be here with us tonight. Thank you, Tony. Welcome.
Hello, 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 and thank you, Shari, for having me today. Lovely.
Oh, it's our pleasure, our pleasure. I was so excited when I saw you reach out to me and remind me that it's World Doula Week this week. And everyone who knows me knows I am a huge advocate for doulas. I have a very soft spot in my heart for doulas, and doulas for me mean so much personally and professionally as a midwife. I had a doula for both of my children, both of my births. And then in my practice, it was basically a requirement. If you wanted to work with me, you really needed to hire a doula because I knew that was the key to having the best birth. So I'm very, very honored to be doing this interview with you and to be honoring doulas all across the world today. Mm-hmm.
I, I think doulas are amazing. I think, I've filmed lots of births that have been supported by doulas, and I've met loads of doulas, and I just think that doulas are really special people. I think what they do, what they can do to make a parent's experience of birth, they can transform it amazingly.
Yes.
Just their knowledge and wisdom and their love and their dedication and just their energy is just such a brilliant thing, and that I honestly believe that every person should have a doula.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Absolutely. So many people are not aware of what the options are for them and their births and what a doula even is. And, we've spoken before on the show about doulas, but you've actually taken it to the next level here to really educate people on a global scale, by releasing a documentary film about doulas. And so that's what I really want to learn more about from you is how did you get started and what is your background in filmmaking to even be able to do this project?
Okay, so bit of a long story.
Yeah.
I went to film school here in the UK, and straight out of film school, I worked as a producer director making factual TV programs,
Hmm.
and then I had and I had no interest in babies, no interest in birth. It was someone talked about birth, I was straight out of the door. It was just not of interest to me. And then I had a baby, and I made my experience of that. I got together with the four other couples in our antenatal class, and we made a film because I just wanted to kind of to help other parents get over their fears of birth. And I thought if I could get the stories of five ordinary couples tell their story
Yeah.
of exactly what happened during their birth, everything, kind of the warts and all stories. If I get the actual truth of it, and I can just release it as a DVD, then hopefully I can help conquer the fears. So at the screening of that film, which is called Real Birth Stories,
Yeah.
a doula came up to me and said, "You should make a film about doulas." And I was like, "A doula what?" I'd never heard of a doula. I didn't know what a doula was. It was a completely alien concept. And so I met a few doulas, and I started talking to the people who'd had doulas for their birth, and I was thinking, okay,
Hmm.
maybe there's something in this. And then I kind of thought, okay, well, I'll film a birth, a doula supported birth, because I've got to feel it. If I feel it,
Yes.
uh, then I can make a film about it. I just had to see for myself.
Yes.
So I was lucky enough. A woman was going into labour. I hadn't met her before. All I knew was that she was open to the idea of having a birth filmed in order to promote doulas.
Yes.
So I was privileged enough to be invited to a birth. So I went along to her birth, and I filmed it on my own with a video camera.
Yeah.
And ah, just it just it was just amazing. I mean, being there for a birth was fantastic anyway, but just what this doula did, just she looked after the dad, she looked after the midwife, she looked after the mum, made everyone a cup of tea, let people in, she kind of massaged the mum, she lit candles, she created the space. When the mum wanted some sort of quiet time, she sent everybody else out of the room. She was just looking after the midwife and really supporting the midwife, allowing the midwife to be there to do her medical side of things, but also, it's just amazing, amazing. And just the birth was magical.
Yes.
And I mean, I was there, I filmed it all, and it was actually in the film.
Yes.
And and just, I mean, I was crying. I've never cried when I've been filming before.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's hard not to cry during a birth, isn't it? Even as a midwife, I cried at every birth. Yeah.
But by the end of the day, we filmed it, and then filmed the kind of the sort of the doula looked, made her bed and kind of settled the mum. The baby breastfed within minutes because it was so calm and so beautiful. And the midwives did their job, and it was just such a beautiful, calm experience.
Right.
Compared to my own birth, which was it ended with an emergency C-section and traumatic in a hospital, and it was such a sort of polar opposite. I just thought, wow,
Yeah.
this has made this happen. Okay, we've got an amazing midwife and an amazing dad and an amazing mum, but it's kind of this doula has been the cog.
Yes.
That everything around it has made this happen.
Yes.
So, I mean, I left that birth and I was wobbly, and I kind of drove home thinking, oh God, I hope I don't crash because I'm so wobbly. And when I got home, I was like, yeah, there's a film in this. There's a film in this. People need to see this.
Yes.
So I filmed some more doulas, I filmed some more births, and then so I filmed it all. I directed it, produced it, edited it, and then we had this film. It's kind of great, and I thought, okay, we'll release it, and I started being connected with this doula community, and as you'll know, doulas in the doula world are all connected to other people and to mums and to midwives, and it's almost like you're never one person away the 6 degrees of separation.
Right,
It's
from
like
everyone.
2 degrees.
Mhm.
Yeah, but what we're trying to do is just to we're not having the screenings. The screenings are all free, as in we've waived all fees.
Awesome.
And just we want people to have screenings in their living room,
Gotcha.
or at their local cinema, and a local cafe, and it's all about raising awareness of
Yeah.
how amazing doulas can be,
Yes.
and just get people talking about birth,
Yeah.
and get people just seeing what positive birth looks like. I didn't know
Yes.
that birth could be beautiful. I had no idea
Yes.
until I started filming births with doulas.
Yes.
I mean, you've seen positive births, you've seen beautiful births.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And how amazing. But unless you can see it
It's very
for
interesting.
yourself.
It's very interesting for me as a midwife, when I think of myself as a mom personally, what was the most impactful? What are the memories I have from my own birth? My midwife was fantastic, and that made the experience. I was able to have what I wanted for my birth, and my husband was the perfect partner and right there by my side. But when I think of Mary and my doula Mary, who was there with me for both of my births, I actually get very emotional because I just remember the unconditional love and support that I received. She wasn't there to do anything to me. She wasn't there to assess me in any way. She wasn't there to make any decisions other than to follow my lead and to completely support and take care of me and serve me. And I just can't imagine going through birth without that kind of support. And when we teach our classes, it's like, when we talk about childbirth classes and we talk about having the best birth ever, and it's like I can't help myself but say, okay, number one, hire a doula. It's just like right at the top of the list, because you go into these experiences, especially if you're having a hospital birth. And I had 2 hospital births, and it was beautiful, beautiful. So it doesn't matter where you're delivering, whether it's home or in the hospital, but the decision of who's going to be with you is probably one of the most important decisions that you're going to make for your birth, more than anything else, more than the type of music you're going to play or anything else. It's about who will be with you to support you, and do you trust and love and really love the energy of that person to be in your space.
I think, and the more doulas, I completely agree with you. I think it's an amazingly important decision. But also, different doulas are different, have different
Absolutely.
personalities.
Absolutely.
So I've met some doulas who are quite, how do I put this? Spiritual, I guess.
Yes.
They're kind of on the spiritual end of the spectrum. But I've also met some doulas who are more kind of hard-nosed business women type doulas.
Yes.
I mean, still providing practical and emotional support, but
Yes.
you've got that. For me, I'd probably want somewhere on the middle.
Yes.
A little bit spiritual, but also a little bit not too airy fairy.
Yeah. No, and everybody has a different personality, and I think that's such a key point. It's like when we're choosing a doula, people will say, well, ask your friends, who did they use? And that's a great way to do it. But I think it's really important to interview your doula beforehand, spend some time with them, and really get to know them and find out, is this a person that I would like to be with for that many hours? Do they think like me? Or are they on the same page as me? Is their energy the same? Do we match? Not everybody matches. And doulas come from all different backgrounds too, whether massage therapists, nurses, moms, right?
And I think, I was filming at a birth this weekend, and amazing, the doula. It was a doula supported birth,
Yes.
and the doula just matched what you just really picking up on what you just said, like matched the person's energy.
Yes.
And at some point she was I don't know, just sat there quietly for an hour, didn't say anything, but then sometimes she was kind of like practical, kind of massaging, kind of
Yes.
hands-on, and
Yes.
was whatever the mother wanted. And it's just that she had different sides to her personality. It was such a beautiful match. It was like 2 jigsaw pieces.
Yes.
But also the dad was in there too. So the dad, it was just this kind of beautiful kind of triumvirate.
Yeah.
This triangle of I don't know, just love between the kind of the doula and the dad and the mum, just working together. And the midwife was there
Yes.
to help and to I guess the midwife was more the more medical, making sure everything was going okay.
Yes.
But actually, it was the doula. The doula was there, and just her energy was just fantastic and bringing everything together.
Yes.
And yeah,
It's
beautiful,
it's
amazing.
such a good point that you're making there. Two points that you made. One is the fact that the doula doesn't take the place of the dad, and we've talked about this on prior episodes, and we talked about doulas and concerns that moms have or partners have of like, well, if you have a doula, like, what am I going to do? Do I really fit in? Am I going to be kicked out of the room? And that's like the complete opposite. Mary was there supporting Joe through every part of our birth, and I mean, he was more grateful, I think, than I was even in the moment, more aware. And it was just a wonderful experience for him to have someone to like guide him, not to take his place, but to guide him when I was going through a different stage of labor where I needed to change what I was doing, to offer him suggestions and say, here, massage her here, this is what's happening, offer her something to drink, offer her to take her to the bathroom. Like, it just helped him. It was the first time that he had been through it, so it was great for him to have a coach to coach him, to coach me. And then again, as a midwife, I was so grateful every time my patient had a doula, because, as a midwife, we have other responsibilities. We cannot be everything. And there's a medical aspect where we're caring for the mom and the baby, and we're really, very responsible for what's medically happening, making decisions and all of those things. So there's two separate roles there. And I think they get really enmeshed sometimes in people's minds, but there really are different aspects to this and different roles that everybody plays. And when it's done well with the right personalities together, it's just a beautiful dance.
I think that's it. I think you.
She's getting excited now. Yes.
That connection between midwives and doulas. I mean, midwives give amazing, fantastic, practical, emotional support as well, but also they've got to think of the kind of the medical overview,
Yes.
and the whole kind of the safety and health of the baby and the mum as paramount.
Yes.
Whereas the doula, I mean, I know, having filmed a lot of birth experts, I know about the kind of optimal conditions for normal physiological birth.
Yes.
So that idea of not for the mum not to engage her neocortex. So it's important for the mum not to have to think,
Right.
or not to have to make decisions about her birth plan, or not to have to make decisions about her labour positions, or anything else.
But completely
It's gotta
surrender.
Yeah, yeah, and give up and let your body just take over and do it. And having the doula there who can suggest positions, and who can suggest dad, or goes to get a drink for the dad and for the mum without even being asked to do anything.
Right.
And just those kind of little things that kind of, it's like the oil in the birth.
Yes.
So you've got the midwife, as the way I see it, is you've got the midwife there who's overall responsible, who if there's a doctor not present, then it's the kind of, midwives and doulas are the guardians of normal birth.
Yes.
I mean, you guys,
Yes.
midwives and doulas,
Yes.
are the kind of the protectors. You guys know, you have this knowledge about how,
Yes.
in my view, how best to deliver babies
Yes.
safely, securely, most lovely, low risk
Yes.
mums. So
Yes.
if you've got a low risk birth, then have a doula, have a midwife, and have a beautiful birth.
Yeah.
Not to say that obstetricians and gynecologists haven't got their place, but it's, for me, that's for high risk birth.
Yes. Yes.
Or that's my opinion.
And if you have a physician and you're going to, and many women in the United States are using physicians, it's
Yeah.
Fortunately there aren't more people using midwives as there are using physicians, and so there are a lot of people watching who are seeing their obstetrician. It's fine. That's the choice that they've made for themselves, but I would say in those situations, even more important to make sure that you hired your doula. That would be my advice.
I think the American, I mean, we filmed in America in November for a month, and we filmed in hospitals, we filmed in birth centres, we filmed in homes, we filmed a home birth, and all different sort of situations. We filmed different births in America, and it is a very different situation and different set of circumstances from here in the UK. But the doula role is exactly the same.
Yes.
That's what excites
Yes.
me.
Yes.
It doesn't matter where you are in the world.
Yes.
And I've filmed French, Swiss, all Australian doulas. It's the same knowledge that doesn't change.
Yes.
And the same birth, the same process.
Yes.
And I think whether it's a birth when the baby's delivered by an obstetrician or doctor, or a midwife, not the baby's delivered, the mother delivers the baby, but is there attending. Yes. I'll put that way. It's the kind of doula still, it's oiling it, it's making everything go smoothly. So if you choose to have a doctor attend your birth, then his or her job is made easier. Yes. And they can focus on the medical side, they can focus on making sure everything's safe and secure. Yes. Because, you've got somebody who's picking up the I don't know, the washing on the floor.
Well, it also makes sense because, too many times people go into the hospital too soon because they don't have the support at home. So they're looking for support, they're nervous, they're afraid, they're not sure, where they are in their labor or how to do it on their own. So they wind up going into the hospital too quickly, where the doula would come to your home and be with you at home so that you could stay home longer. And of course, we all know that's where we're more comfortable. If you're not going to have a home birth and you are having a hospital birth, the longer that you stay home and labor at home, the less intervention that you're more likely to have, less likely to have intervention when you do get to the hospital, the more likely you're going to have a natural, normal birth and the experience that you were looking for. So, it just can't hurt to stay home longer and to have somebody more knowledgeable to guide you through that process. It always makes me not understand, people will spend money on the most trivial of things, and then when it comes to their birth, especially, with their first baby, you never get to do that again. It's like the only time you'll ever have that first baby, and, usually those labors are a little longer. Why wouldn't you invest in yourself and in your own experience and in your own life and why wouldn't you deserve the very best? So it's just, I'd love to take this moment right now to just go over to show the trailer of this beautiful film documentary that you've created, that we're all really grateful for. So I'd like to take a minute. We're gonna go watch the trailer, and then we're gonna come back to you, Tony. Okay?
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay.
It's Friday night, it's raining. I'm heading to Ali's and Neil's because the baby is on its way. I feel like the cavalry. Here we go. Nice big doula bag full of doula bits. Phone onto silent.
When she first walked through the door, I literally just opened the door and said, "Thank God you're here." And the next thing I know, she was sat down helping me through my contractions. Yeah, it was unconditional support without any preconceptions. I didn't have to worry about what she was going to think of me. I didn't have to worry about if she was going to do something to me that I didn't like.
I think I'm ready to get in the pool.
Yeah, perfect.
Doula meaning servants. You are there to serve the needs of the parents. It's a huge privilege to be with a parent when they're giving birth, and in 16 and a half years I've never stopped feeling deeply privileged to see a baby being born and to be supporting that mother.
She's going to be very just in time. Oh my goodness.
Hello and welcome.
Completely worthwhile.
Great. So what are you working on right now, Tony?
So our next project, and this is where it all kind of dovetails in together nicely, is we're doing a project called One World Birth. So what we're creating is it's a two-part thing. We're doing a global documentary, so we're looking at what's going on with the politics of birth right now. So you had the business of being born. This is kind of like a global version of the business of being born.
Yes.
It's looking at where birth is working. So places like New Zealand, where they've got a fantastic midwifery model,
Yes.
and places where it's not working, where you've got a cesarean rate. There's places in Brazil where the cesarean rate is 95% in some private hospitals.
Yeah.
In Brazil, and that's 95%. In hospitals in America, anything from 30 to 50%.
Yeah, it's awful.
I mean, so we're looking at that, and what happens in what's it seeming to, as we interviewed a fantastic Ina May Gaskin, who's kind of a world leader of midwifery. She was saying that what happens in Brazil is happening in America, and what happens in America gets taken up and adopted by the rest of the world. So in the UK, we're starting to follow the American model, and you guys are following the Brazilian model, funnily enough. So we've interviewed experts, so professors of midwifery, who say with 20 years midwifery could be gone if we don't save it now.
Wow.
And that's what our documentary is about. So we're making a documentary, a global documentary, but also part of our project, our One World Birth project, is to release free video resources so that people start talking about birth. So short clips of these. We've interviewed over 100 experts from right around the world. So authors, campaigners, academics, midwives, obstetricians, everybody, kind of doulas, campaigners, professors, everybody, and just sort of saying, come on, let's do this. We've got to create change. We've got to get people talking.
Yes.
Because when you know this, that if people, the mainstream population, aren't engaged with what's happening with birth, they don't want to talk about birth issues.
No.
Someone like Michel Audant, who's a French MD and now amazing author, he was saying that birth should be the number one topic that everybody talks about.
Yes.
This is like the future of humanity at stake.
Yes.
And that's kind of quite scary when you kind of look at it, but people aren't engaging with this at the moment, and that's what we're trying to do. Same as what you're doing.
Absolutely.
It's connecting people so that people talk about birth and start. Well, hopefully we can inspire change. We want to. Well, we want to start a revolution.
Sorry, I'm choking here. I'm like yes.
We want to start a revolution. We want to change birth around the world. We want to change perception of birth.
Yes.
And that's what we're trying to do with our doula film. We want to show people what positive birth looks like with our One World Birth project, where part of it's going to be making a video, a DVD about midwives. I want to do like midwives with jazz hands.
Wonderful.
And just show how amazing midwives are.
Yes.
And to get people talking about midwives.
Yes.
We want to get to talk about hypnobirthing.
Yeah.
About water births. Just these non-medical. Not everybody is going to want a natural birth. I completely support someone's choice for a cesarean. To be honest.
Yeah.
If they've got real reasons to have a cesarean, I support those choices. It's kind of opening up the conversation. That's what we want to do.
It's about supporting women. And when you talk about midwives and we look at what the definition of a midwife is, it's with woman. It's not, the definition is not natural birth. The definition is, it's not that. It's about supporting women. And so supporting women in the choices that they're making. And I think that's, people always ask me, my approach to breastfeeding is very mom-focused breastfeeding. It's a very different approach. And, I know why I come to breastfeeding education the way I do. It's because my background is midwifery. And so it's a unique perspective of like becoming a lactation consultant and a baby breastfeeding expert after being a midwife. I can't help but feel that the mom is my client. The mom is my focus, and I know that if I take care of mom, okay, which is my role, then she will take care of her baby. Okay, it's not my job to take over and take care of her baby. She knows what she wants for her baby. And so if I support her, then she will support her child. And I think that is the essence of midwifery at its best. And it's what I've always felt all these years of taking care of mothers, and it's no different now in what I'm doing, whether it's teaching them to breastfeed or doing a live TV show. It doesn't matter. I'm actually practicing midwifery with women, whether I'm involved in the birth process anymore now or not, or I come in later or I come in before. It doesn't matter. It's all about support. So I'm totally on your page with that. I get it. And I think it is, like you said, it is the most important thing that we can be focusing on right now in this world today is how are we bringing children into this world? What is happening with birth? What is happening with breastfeeding? What is happening with our children and the next generation, and how we are empowered to care for them as women, as mothers, as fathers. And it's going to make a big difference on how this world progresses.
I think so. I've got this thought. I mean, it's kind of, this is about doulas, but also about anything that if more people knew about doulas, that equals more people hiring doulas, which equals more people having better birth.
Yep.
Which means the world will be a better place.
Yes.
So that's why I'm passionate about doulas, but equally about midwives. If more people had midwives, then more people have better births, and the world is better. It's kind of it's joining the dots.
And this is not just opinion. This is statistically we know that, you know, having a midwife for your birth increases your it had better outcomes statistically, you know, lower infections, problems, everything. And in the countries where midwifery care is the norm, we have much better outcomes for both moms and babies than we do here. We just know that statistically, it's not an opinion.
Yeah, and that's what
she's like, don't get me started. A whole other show. Oh, we'll do another show. Don't worry, we'll do another show. But Tony, it was just wonderful to have you with us tonight, and I am very thank you so much for doing this film. Thank you. I am really looking forward to being a part of this with you, to help you spread the word. I'm really grateful that you were here with us tonight, all the way from the UK. And I know that it's late for you there, but I can see, I mean, your passion just comes straight through you. It's just very obvious why you have done this film, and there's no better reason to do anything in our lives than something that we're completely passionate about, and we can feel it. We can feel it. So on behalf of all of us here, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And come join the revolution. Let's change things.
The revolution. Join the revolution. Well, I can tell you that all my viewers are definitely joining the revolution and what that means for them is start with yourself.
Yeah.
You know, start with yourself. Right there with your own birth. How can you make this better? How can you make this place, this world a better place? Start with yourself and your own birth and your own baby. And the world gets a little bit better from there.
And hire a doula.
And hire a doula. Well, that's just an obvious. Tony, this was really, really fun. Thank you so much. And for anybody, again, who wants to get a copy of the film, they can go to doulafilm.com or on Amazon, and it's doula, ! Right? Doula! ! And they can get a copy on Amazon. And if you are out there interested to do a screening, please email Tony at alto info at altofilms.com. Okay, great. Thank you for being with us tonight. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you so much for letting me be part of this. I think you're fabulous.
My pleasure. Good night, Tony. Take care. That was so great. Oh my God, what an awesome, awesome person. I feel so excited to have met her, and I was just so honored to have her here and to really tell us about the beautiful work that she has done, and this film that will just go out to so many people to be able to really get a deeper understanding of what this work is all about. So I'm just so thrilled, and I'm so glad that you can all join me tonight. So everybody have a wonderful night. Go kiss your babies.